All right, let's get this started for the OpenStack Storlets project update session. Thanks for coming to this presentation. I'm very happy to make it in this Vancouver summit. So this is OpenStack Storlets for Storlets update. And please let me introduce myself at first. So that's okay? So my name is Koto Tsuzaki, working for NTT, and I'm running the role of the Storlets project team lead, and also I'm working for the OpenStack Swift as OpenStack Swift core reviewer. And so this is project update session for the Queen release, but at first I would like to introduce the Storlets functionality. So this is what the Storlets slide to describe. So the Storlets is designed to ensure the efficient application execution environment inside of object street that can be used for the sort of the ETL tasks, extract, transform, and load it for some data sensitive applications. And then the functionality is that Storlets make it easier to deploy the user-defined application code into the object storage cluster, and then it can be run the timing of the trigger by the Swift API call, like get, put, the above. So that is Storlets product. And the graphs from left side is describe some high-level overview of the OpenStack Swift and Storlets. And OpenStack Swift is one of the oldest projects in the OpenStack community, and that makes really scale out storage cluster with common devices like the common hardware with that equips the HDD or SSD or like this. So each server has a lot of hard disks, and that can be scaled out the volume required for users. And then Storlets can prepare the application environment inside the servers. And basically, Storlets can launch the container isolation in the storage cluster, and then Storlets adapts the data source to the application. Application can execute with the data source for the some application that user wants. Oh, this is Storlets. So the goal is to make it easier to users can deploy the application for the data source. Then this is a summary of the contributors of current contributors of Storlets. And the Storlets is initially started by the IBM, but currently now the major part of the development is from NTT, and the second part of it, the independence, that is because the original author, Alan Long, that is who is previous PTL, is now independent. He is part from the IBM, so this is major part. But in this slide, what I really wanted to focus on is the other parts is now increasing. Other contributors is increasing. So as you can see, the Inspire, NEC, and any other companies can is now joining the Storlets team. So I'm really happy to see that can be really healthy to be contributed from other companies at the good OSS. So I'm really want to increase the part of from the other companies. That's really nice to have in the healthy upstream OSS community. This is current status of Storlets. And for the queen list, that's really good one. I would like to report the Storlets is now 1.0.0 release. That means stable for production for under the OpenStack namespace. And that in the queen list, we had to focus on the basically packaging and stability and the testing enhancement that is required for the production environment. Previous of the queen release, Storlets requires some storage component inside the Docker container for running execution, and that makes running container being massive, and that cannot be not so much portable inside of the object storage cluster, and that can eat the resource of the running of the existing Swift cluster. But with the refactoring in the queen release that happens, we had the sort of refactoring for the package maintaining, and then that separate the libraries, common libraries, and especially Storlets have sort of the non-Python libraries inside to run some OS-specific system call, and we separated the libraries outside of the Storlets package, and then finally we can make the installation really easier than previous ones. So just if you want to install the Storlets since 1.0.0 release, we need just two steps, like the install with.sh. This is a part of the non-Python code installation. And the next one, Python setup, the py install is the way to install the Python package to support the Storlets functionality. That's very great thing. Then, and that is the result of the queen release. And the next rocky release that will happen in the August. I would like to, our community is focusing on the basically two things. One is the container security, and then the other is the Py3 support for production. The previous one is from the recent security issue reported at the beginning of this year. You may know security issue for Intel CPUs, Spectre meltdown, and as you can see in the keynote, you may see in the keynote, OpenStack community is now focusing on the secure container, like the Kata container. That is because the container that container application in running in the container can see some memories for other processing. So because the main problem is the Storlets design is user can any program in the Docker container, and that container running on the Swift cluster. So if we don't consider about the security issue much more, the malicious code can be running in your Swift cluster. So that might be problem in the production. So in this Rocky release, we would like to support the cut container or sort of the secure virtualization of container technologies like the gvisor. Gvisor is the Google secure container runtime that is reported, I think that is a month ago. So we need to get the experience and how to get into the storage product in the local release. That is the first one. And the next one is the Py3 work for storage daemon. So I think, I'm sure we have already Py3 unit testing for the gate. So I don't think we breaks any stuff if we use the Py3 for the your storage application. However, the pain point is we don't have the Py3 tests in the as of the functional gates. So we need to make the functional test to avoid the breaking the Py3 user application, and we need to think about some versioning of the Py2. So user can choose the Py2 or Py3 environment in the storage container as your application. That's our stuff, mainly focusing on stuff. And as a first step, NTT Data is now doing the refactoring stuff to make the code easier. That's nice stuff. Then, after the Loki, for the long term, I would like to see more Py3 stuff rework to Py3 stuff in around the middleware that's installed in on top of Swift. That is because Swift's Py3 work is now undergoing work. I think the Py2 will be deprecated in 2 years. So we need to, anyway, port Py2 to Py3 at the Swift layer, and Storlets needs to follow up the Py3 work at the middleware layer. And then, and the other stuff is for the increasing the use cases, I think. So we need to, anyway, as I described in the previous slide, we need the lightweight container solutions for the running execution environment. And last one is I would like to see some stuff to connectivity with any other FR functional function as a service stuff. Likely, recently, I think other community develops much more, like the Amazon Lambda, or that support more functionality in the storage upstream. And then might be needed to increase some support tools to monitoring or something like that. So and then, so that's the all of the update and the beyond of the in the future work. And from this, I would like to give some information for feedback and contribute. Basically, OpenStack Storlets is under the OpenStack Storlets follows the OpenStack format, so you can see any activities, storage activity via OpenStack tools, likely OpenStack IRC channel. We have the channel, specific channel, OpenStack Storlets. Oh, sorry, that's okay. All right, and we can catch up the mailing list threads. So if you want to something to discuss something, you can make the email to the OpenStack dev emailing list with the storage titles. And the last one is the bug tracker for our OpenStack Storlets project that is maintained via a Launchpad that is used in the common OpenStack project. And especially, we want to get any feedback and experience. Any format is OK, just a blog or email or sort of any way is really welcome to get the feedback to improve our product very well. And also, contribution is just like the OpenStack format. And you can see how to contribute to OpenStack in this URL. And anyway, we want to set up the secure container as soon as possible. OK, thank you. This is the last slide for me. All right. This is what happened in the Queen release and the future. And that's all my presentation. Thank you. Questions?
Hello. I'm not familiar with Storlets, but am I right that the functions in the object storage are running inside containers? So where Storlets get containers? I mean, where the containers come from?
Oh, you can see you can set up the container repository inside of that cluster reachable, where that switch cluster can be reachable to the repository.
Okay. So currently, you just get containers from Docker or Kubernetes or something else?
Currently, Storlets supporting Docker repository. Yeah, you can build the local Docker container repository with or without Swift in your local cluster.
So that means if in production deployment, you need to deploy the container host besides Storlets, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And another question is, you mentioned you need to work with other functional service project or product.
Yep.
So what's the difference between the functional service and the Storlets? Because the functional service can also run function the user defined, but the Storlets is, if I understand correctly, you just store your function in the object. So what's the difference between them?
Yeah, I think the mainly difference is the API thing. So user needs to learn about much more the APIs, what they can do or they cannot. So I think the OpenStack is the community that think of mainly important in the API layer. That is because the specific API is here, and that can be runnable anywhere. So we need to focus. I think that's my opinion. Sorry, that's my opinion. So basically, the de facto API is really good to think about. But however, I think the functional as a service production is currently the status of the development. So I know sort of the sorry, I forget the name. IBM things. You remember? IBM Whiskey. Yeah, well, Whiskey. And I think the Kubernetes community is making also fast. I think that currently there are existing some various functional as a service existence in the world. So, but they all have the different APIs, and that makes users to figure out how to use, right? So I would like to much more easy API for Storlets to increase the use cases. So I would like to follow up some other function, other service APIs inside of that's right, I think.
A follow-up question is, what do you think if a function as service project support download object from Swift? I mean, still the function is stored in the object. So that project download a function for a download object from Swift and execute the function and maybe upload another object to Swift. What do you think if the function as service project support that kind of feature? Yeah, because in my opinion, if a project can support that kind of feature, I want to know the value and how that makes sense for Storlets.
Yeah, might be. So I need to catch up and discuss with the community.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yep. That's all. Thank you.